All right, you know what time it is. Coilover time. Ordered some BR series coilovers from Coilover Depot. They're the only ones that could get them to me relatively quick. The Supra coilovers are not stocked in the stateside, so I had to wait about 6 weeks to get them in. And of course, these are weld-on spindles. I bought some used spindles off of eBay. Had my buddy Brett cut and weld them onto the lowers, so that way they're all set to go. And then of course I got the real coilovers, which are just struts and separate coilover springs with adjusters on them. So we're going to put that on right now. Time to get this thing in the air and start taking off the wheels. All right, now we got the wheel off, got the suspension out. This is obviously going to be a individual setup. So we got the coil spring, height adjustment, got the shock dampener itself, also height adjustment. And they're actually fairly easy. Got 14mm bolts right here, nuts, two of them. One of them there is to lock that in so it doesn't spin. And then another 14 there. And then hopefully this whole swing arm could swing down and release that spring tension, pop that out, put the other ones in, and then compress it back up, put the strut on there, and start adjusting. Hopefully it all goes smoothly. We'll see. All right, it's mid-80s. I'm already starting to sweat, but got it out. So like I said, bottom of the strut was 14mm, two 14mm on the top. They actually came out relatively easy. The spring, that one I actually had to take this pry bar to, just to kind of squeeze up on the pressure. I had to put it under this boss here that holds that spring and kind of pop it out and slipped it out. Kind of wiggled a little bit, but not too bad. I got to clean up a little bit of the dirt and grime that's been sitting in there. And then that bad boy is going in. Can't wait. All right. Got the spring perch all the way threaded down, as low as it could go. Just to kind of, I put the spring perch up there, put the spring in there. You can obviously tell, pretty loose. Got this bolted in on the bottom. The top is not quite in the hole, so I'm going to have to put some pressure on that to bring it up, bolt it in, see where that settles. And then I'm going to put the wheel on. And once the wheel's on, I'm going to lower it all the way and see where it I'm going to get it pretty close, not where I want it, because I haven't done the other side yet. And you don't really want to do one side, get it where you want it, then do the other side to match, because once it sits on the ground, it's going to be different. It won't have the even pressure of it sitting on an actual even ground. So I'm going to do one side kind of close, do the other side kind of close, and then go from there. But yeah, one side down. Gonna get it test fitted and then hopefully get it set up on the other side. All right, well, I test fitted the wheel, put the jack underneath the control arm, pushed it all the way up, and there was about the tire was sunk in there, but the rim was quite low. Now the offset is not the greatest. I didn't want to spend too much money because obviously these Supras are pretty wide in the rear end, a lot thinner in the front end as far as offset goes with wheels. So I kind of went with a square setup. They're negative, I believe negative 15, something like that. So they kind of sunk in a little bit. It's not too bad. I don't think it'll be too much of a problem. I think the overall look is going to look good. So still, I'm trying to go as low as possible in the rear. The front, we're going to see how low we can get. Once we get the front on there, get it as low as we can get, then I can kind of deduce where I want the back end to go. So I went ahead and coiled these all the way down previously, and then after doing that, I coiled these all the way down. So that shock bottom threaded body is all the way as down as far as it'll go until it reaches the bottom of the perch. And then went ahead and locked it down. Went sure everything is tight here, and now we'll go to the other side. All right, this side was a little bit harder than the other side, just because the sway bar, when I lowered the other side, it compressed this side just because of the tension of the sway bar. So I got the spring out, got the new one in, make sure it's all seated in there. Got everything lowered, so now I'm ready to put the wheels on. Put the wheels on, and then put her on the ground and see what the back end looks like. I have a feeling it's gonna be pretty low, or at least I hope. All right, got the back end on. Honestly, they're all the way as far as you can go low. Not quite where I wanted to be. I mean, technically, for this car, I wanted this fender to be like right about here. So another inch lower, and that would have been happy for me. Sink the tire in a little bit. But honestly, this is not, it's not terrible. Definitely will do. I'll probably go with a, maybe a bolt-on, I'd say, about a 25 to 30 millimeter spacer to get the back end where I really want it. But this will do for now. I gotta do the front, of course. That's a little bit more labor intensive, obviously, because the spindles are on there. I gotta take the whole front end apart, as well as the actual bearings and hub assemblies and all that, and the brakes. So that's gonna be a little bit more time consuming. But for right now, got the rear end done. And then now for the next thing, the front end. Heck yeah. All right, after a little bit of regrouping, got the car turned around. Oh, we're gonna start on the front now. Like I said, it's gonna be a little bit more intensive just because we have to take the whole brake system off, hub assembly, obviously the spindle and the strut are all one, so that whole system has to come out as one. Like I said, I've already bought old spindles, some used ones, and had them welded on, so that way I don't have to take these ones off, have them welded, bring them back, and then put them on and be left with a car on jack stands. I wanted to just get it all done in one swoop. So we're gonna get it up on the jacks, take the wheels off, and then start digging in. Got it up in the air, got the wheels off. I put PB Blast on all the actual bolts and whatnot for the assembly. I believe with this setup, not only do I have to obviously take the brake assembly off, and then the two posts that hold the bottom of the strut in, but I have to take the whole, obviously the whole hub assembly off. So I'm going to take this cap off, and it looks like someone took it off at one point in time, probably to the front wheel bearing, so that's nice. At least that's been done at some point. It does look pretty clean, new bolts down there, so I'm going to safely say that it was done not too long ago, thankfully. So obviously I'm going to pop that cap off, take that nut off, and yeah, get this whole assembly out. Of course, top, just these three nuts will come off, and I'll take the whole assembly off, and I guess we'll see how hard this is going to be. All right, got the hub assembly off. Easy. Technically, I think that nut was way too loose. I'm gonna have to look up the torque settings, but it came off with almost hand pressure. It's kind of weird. So got everything off. Everything looks really good. Got to take the two bolts off the bottom to get that bottom mount out. Yeah, and then the top comes out and new one goes in. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna put some good amount of grease on the new spindle, make sure that it's got a lot of grease in it. This one does, and the bearings do look brand new, or at least newer. And then we'll go from there. All right, got the old one out, got the new one in. I went ahead and put grease on the spindle, and then started getting her on. Wipe all that grease off. This was actually, like I said, kind of loose, so I'm gonna search up the torque specs for this actual wheel bearing assembly, the hub assembly, and properly torque them down. As far as adjustment on this, if you want to get the proper Carolina stance, you got to adjust this all the way open. I left 1.5 inches of thread space there, so that way it's still got a little bit of strength. And then, of course, got all this together. Of course, I'll have to go and tighten them all up here in a second once I get everything kind of dialed in. Got the dampener set to hard. We're gonna go is 30 way dampener. We're gonna go 15. So got to go all the way to the hard and then go back 15. That way we got 50-50 for now, just till everything kind of settles in. But gonna put the brakes back on, get all this torqued up, and start on the other side. Got the wheel on, got the nut torqued. It's like 22 foot-pounds, loosen up, and then they basically say hand tighten it, which is kind of odd to me. Got the top all dialed in. I'm gonna have to adjust the camber here in a little while when I get out on the ground, but now we're gonna do the other side, get it to match. Got both sides on. Got the wheels just kind of hand tight. Just with the camber that's on it right now, I am going to quick put these camber adjustments all the way in for now. You can adjust the bolts in farther and get even more camber till this bottoms out, but I don't think I'm going to do that quite yet. I might do that anyway, just to get all the way in and start from there, pretty much start from a zero standpoint on the negative side. But yeah, gonna do that, get all the wheels on, put it on the ground, and see what she looks like. Well, since we got her all dialed in, she's gonna need a bath. I'm gonna wash it up real quick, and then we'll do a walk around on her. And Bambino. That's how you Carolina stance a car. Although, not as much Carolina stance as I want. Boo. I guess I'll just have to slam the front end now. But she's looking good. Let's go bring her back in the garage and bring down that front end all the way down. All right, all jokes aside, she's lowered. So I coiled over the coilovers all the way down on all four corners just until everything settles, and then I'll readjust from there. But right now it's pretty much where I want it. I could go lower if I took the actual spring perch and lowered that, but then you start losing a lot of that preload that you have already in those springs. So I kind of want the preload. I don't need to lower it that much more. It's looking pretty good right now. But yeah, look at that. Ooh. Now these aren't the wheels that I wanted to go with, but for the price I couldn't beat it for now. I would rather like some old Japanese wheels, like maybe even 2-piece, 3-piece, especially this old style. But with a square setup, this back end could come out a little bit more. It's not terrible. I'd like it to match the front, which would take probably 20-25 millimeters of like a bolt-on spacer. But not bad at all. So that'll do it for this video. So freaking sweet. Next, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, honestly. I wanted to at least get the coilovers on. Definitely going to have to do some engine maintenance. It hasn't been driven in a long time, so the injectors are pretty clogged. It's kind of gutless. Engine's great, it's just it's not getting the fuel that it needs. So I'm going to take the intake manifold off, get the fuel injectors out, get them sent out, cleaned up. Yeah, and then I'm going to start attacking other stuff with it. Get this thing dialed into, be able to go to a couple of shows. Be kind of nice. Anyway, that'll do it for this one. See you guys later.